The Pitzer Family Education Foundation, PFEF, is asking incarcerated individuals to become part of a life-changing mission by donating once a month, just the cost of a candy bar, to help send a child of an incarcerated parent to college or trade school. According to the report, PFEF has partnered with 14 state departments of corrections, and those partnerships allow offenders to donate to the foundation. The report also states that 2 of those state systems have placed PFEF information on offender commissary lists and tablet systems, so inmates can donate and access scholarship information for their children at any time without pressure. The procedure is simple. Incarcerated individuals who are housed in correctional systems can make donations to PFEF through the methods approved by their facility or Department of Corrections. In some institutions, this may be done through the commissary list or tablet system, where PFEF donation information has been made available.
Welcome to the Prison Pod, a podcast for all people experiencing incarceration. The mission of this podcast is to save lives, restore hope, reduce suffering, and recidivism. Many show ideas come directly from the listeners, so please write the host. Prison Pod, Post Office Box 294, Orono, Maine, 04473. Here is your host, Ms. Valerie.
Welcome to the Prison Pod. In the studio with us today is Jason Marque Sole. Jason's story includes earning a PhD and teaching criminal justice after being incarcerated. In December of 2025, he received a pardon and his criminal record cleared. Today we will talk about his work that will include abolition versus reform and his Humanize My Hoodie movement. I'd like to welcome you to today's Prison Pod, Jason.
Thank you for having me, Valerie. Appreciate it.
I want to first congratulate you on your pardon.
Thank you. Thank you. Man, we fought for that thing, but we got it. We got it. So I'm grateful. I haven't been able to really I haven't seen it in real time. I haven't, crossed the border or anything like that. So I haven't reaped the benefits of it yet, but I'm grateful to have it. So it's different. I can't revel in it yet, and I want to help some more people get it. But yeah, I appreciate you showing some love for that.
Could you talk just a little bit about what's involved with that as far as
Yeah.
what does a pardon do for you?
Yeah, so it clears the record, So I had pages of harms, they pulled me over a lot. I went through a lot growing up in Chicago and moving to Minnesota, So it was a lot of police presence. I was no angel, but I wasn't like what they were trying to make me to be either, you know what I mean? So I had a pistol charge from when I was 19, served some time on that. And I served time with my ops, so they threw me in the unit with people who, I really had disdain for. Like, I really didn't like them and they didn't like me. But, I was grateful to make it out of that. Then went to prison for 40 months, couple years later, and that was right after getting shot up real bad. So I had some real traumas. Then I was facing 10 years while I was a college student and was grateful to do a year in jail, but I had 20 years of probation over my head. So to have that, not be a hindrance and not stopping me from opportunities, I'm grateful for it. So the process was I applied in 2021 and got rejected. So they shot me down. I knew the Supreme Court would. She didn't like any of us, So we knew, that I wouldn't get it, but you needed a unanimous vote. You needed the governor, the attorney general, and the Supreme Court. And I was saying, that's just terrible because in some states, you just need the governor. So for me to have to deal with a trifecta, it's wild. And especially with somebody like, the person who rejected me because she had a history of doing this. Yeah. So dealing with the Supreme Court justice that we had in 2021 and needing a unanimous vote, kind of knew I worked hard enough for it. I felt like I redeemed myself out here. I felt like I made amends where I needed to. I stopped gang banging and I had an active gang life. So it's like to put that to the side, I felt like I had earned it. People know my kids, people know my wife. So I just felt like I had done enough. And I saw other people who were being pardoned. So it was like, man, I see who you've pardoned. You shouldn't be doing me like this. But the next year after I got rejected, the process shifted. You only needed 2 out of 3. I wasn't thirsty to go back at it because I was like, I go back at it when I know y'all got y'all stuff figured out. So I didn't rush back in the process. 2023, they created an entirely new process. So it became a 9-person panel, and now you have to present to a panel, and they recommend up to the 3. I said, now I got 12 people. I said, y'all just keep building fences in front of me. I said, that's all. I said, I'm not getting closer to justice. This is further. But it did help a lot of people come home, a lot of lifers, a lot of people who probably weren't going to make it out. To shout out to all the formerly incarcerated people who organized for a lot of their homies to come out, because, we've done a lot of that here. But when I went back at it at 2024, I applied in October 15th. I applied again and felt like I should at least know something by December. But I didn't hear anything until March. And I'm like, here we go again. Like, it's another battle. It's another fight. Y'all reached out to everybody else. I got people in prison. Like, man, I got a date. They saying I got a hearing. And I'm happy for everybody for sure. And at the same time, I'm like, y'all trying to play me, man. Like, I know it's personal. So I dropped a petition on them May 2nd, and I just was letting it be known I'm ready to fight. You know what I mean? Like, I was willing to be cordial and do it regular, but no, y'all won't give me a date. So I put the pressure on them, and it was hard fought, but I'm glad I got it in December. I think it was December 17th. So now I got my free paper. So I don't got to deal with a cop sizing me up for that 1st-degree pistol or 2nd-degree drugs or 2nd-degree drugs again. And I got a lot of fleeing on my record. Like, nearly every time they tried to come for me, I ran or dipped or drove or something. So that all looked bad and blocked me from stuff. I'm just grateful to have my day and to have it right before all this madness happened. You know what I mean? I wouldn't feel as confident in my abilities if I had felonies stopping me from protecting my family with ICE and all these folks running around here. You know what I mean? I'm in the Twin Cities, so we got to be on point, So I'm grateful. It was a buzzer beater, Valerie. I got it in December, and it seemed like the world just, crashed or cracked open, or it did something crazy, the next month. But yeah, I'm grateful to be pardoned.
And
No record. I don't even have to talk about my felonies no more. So that's the best thing. I don't even got to mention my felonies no more going forward. I can act like I never get. I'm not going. I'm not gonna do that. But like, I never had felonies. Like, the paper says that. It's like it
right.
never happened.
So, and during this time, you had already earned a PhD and were teaching criminology. Is that true?
Yeah, I was done with my program like 2013, and I had conflict with that, but it was like, you know, going for a PhD, once I got my master's. So this the tough part. When I got my bachelor's degree, I still had 5 months of jail time to serve. So I graduated, got a bachelor's in criminal justice. I even met my wife in my corrections class. So this was so it's like I went to prison 2000. I got out middle of 2002, did 6 months in a halfway house out here on 7th Street, and I had to fight when I was there. So it was like, I just had issues, you know what I mean? People, on the gang tip, people knew my face and knew my family. So it was just certain things I had to deal with. So Hazel didn't film me for 6 months when I was in prison, and I still hadn't healed up from getting shot. I got shot with a 40 caliber. It broke my femur bone. So to have to learn how to walk all over again in the midst of like war with people, it was a lot of trauma and a lot of things. So the prison time, it was hard because I still had smoke with people from the world and all of that stuff. But same thing in the halfway house. So by 2004, I lived in the projects because that's all I can get, right? When you come home, a lot of people they weren't trying to take a chance with the pistol and the drugs. They just was like, I get this to somebody who don't got that. You know what I mean? And I was like frustrated, but Hazelden was filming me at the time. So all of this was documented, and I was 24 years old at the time. It was all documented. I was just like, Y'all want me to be a 3-time felon and just never had nothing. And that's what I was saying on the film. Like, I'm in the projects. I served the time. Is it over with or is it not? You know what I'm saying? Like, just be honest. Like, I don't know if it's y'all still holding me down because of it. It feel like it. You say this is my second chance. It ain't feeling all the way like that. So I was very vocal out here. I wasn't considering myself an activist or an organizer, but the very next year, 2004, that's when I became an organizer. I was just on a whim. I wish I had a better college story, but I drove into college on a whim and a prayer and just, I don't know what guided me into that damn place because I wasn't headed there. I wasn't headed into college that day. I had just smoked cannabis. So it was the totally unprofessional way to start college is the way I started. I went in there and I reeked and I just said, man, give me whatever paperwork y'all got, man. I need to do this and I need to do it now. Cause I was at the fringes. I was at my breaking point, man. Like I worked hard to redeem myself and opportunities just weren't coming. I was getting frustrated. So I went in there and January 2004, I met a professor who understood my plight. And he was like, man, you'll be a dope organizer. And I met Angela Davis, met Marion Wright Edelman, started teaching for Freedom School. And the same way I had a lot of people who were like supporting me in the gang world and the drug world, it was easy for me to have college students understand that we could fight for something that's important now. I'm not on that stuff no more. I'm not trying to fight. I'm not trying to carry no pistols. Really trying to have truces in the street, and I was showing other people how to do it. So when I got my bachelor's, I still had legalities because I was on my way to see Jeezy, hang out at the concert and all that, and my friend set me up with drugs, and that ended up being a 52-minute high-speed chase. I have so many like super traumatic memories of prison arrest, them hating me, them hating my politics, but I knew I would still make it out of that. So when I got my bachelor's degree, I knew it was all about discipline. It's not how smart you are, because I seen the smartest kids not getting their top grades because they didn't have the discipline. I had the discipline to say, y'all playing. I'm not. I'm going for these scholarships. I'm really about to try to lead these projects. People saw me lead the projects, and that was a big deal because, of course, I was the caretaker. Keeping beef down. I'm trying to show that I'm changing, and my friends would say, man, you really changing. And 20 years from starting that bachelor's degree, it was like, of course I can go for the master's. Of course, again, it's based on discipline. Who could sit there, read through that stuff, and I just had the discipline. So I started teaching 2009. Once I got my master's, it was presented to me because I was already training nationally for restorative justice, going to Hawaii, Texas, everywhere, California 4 times a year, showing how people could facilitate circles, learning from indigenous culture, and really like creating a lot of safety out here in the streets and wherever I went. So that's when my journey to teaching started, 2009. And right now I teach one class at Hamline Tuesday nights and got some dope students. So I appreciate all the opportunities, and I just make sure I'm opening the doors for other people who, need to come home or need an opportunity like this. So yeah.
It's a great inspiration for others that, we always have that feeling that school's intimidating. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I was very intimidated. And when I first got there, I was on probation my first year because my grades were so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like you said, it's determination and sticking to it. You don't have to be the smartest kid in the class,
Right.
but you have to do the work.
Most
And that's
definitely.
like so many things in life that, you have to do the work. Hey, before we jump on to our next question, we're going to take a quick break here just to hear from our sponsors.
Choreo helps inmates connect with their loved ones by allowing an inmate to receive and leave messages at any time using standard prison phones. Without Choreo, family and friends wait for a call and hope they can answer. With Choreo, they can call or text at any time. Next time the inmate calls their Choreo number, they will hear your voice and text messages. For more information, have your friends or family visit Choreo's website at https://choreospc.org.
Music by Stir Crazy Music. www.stircrazymusic.com.
Yep.
So, Jason, now that we're back, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the difference between abolition and reform. Because there seems to be a lot of confusion around that.
I mean, yeah, here in Minnesota, there's no confusion. We've had too many critical incidents here. So, like I say, people really know me as an organizer from 2004, 2005. I was president of the Black Student Union. So, I always was organizing people to have real discussions about the plight of what Black folks, indigenous folks, and other people of color go through. And then I always had a systems framework where I understood I got to challenge the system. So imagine me being, mid 20s, trying to be around these college students. And I ain't much older than them, but shoot, if you 18, 19, and I got real life and I got a PO, parole officer coming to the school, my journey and your journey ain't the same journey. So I can't move like you. So for me, being in the library 12 hours made sense. I tell people, even my homeboys who, like, they had my back when I got shot up. So I couldn't just throw them away either. You know what I mean? Still love my friends, but letting them know I'm not dealing with no indictment with y'all. You know what love y'all to death, but that is not what's gonna happen. Like for my like, so I'm like, come to the library or the YMCA. They opened up a new YMCA on the east side, and it was like, man, meet me at the YMCA at 6:30. Let's hoop. And that's how I maintained my thread with the people who I knew wasn't as far along in their journey as I was. Cause I was like, man, I'm really not going. Cause when I came home from prison, I could have really rose to be one of the top gang leaders throughout this region. You know what I mean? And I chose to say, that's just not the path for me, y'all. I love y'all to death, and I hope y'all don't harm me for making this decision. But I already told y'all it's not a for life thing for me. I joined at 14. So going to college was one part of it, but really letting my friends know I really love y'all, fam. Like every time I even tell this story, it make me tear up because it's hard telling people they were willing to go to the maximum length when I got harmed and when I couldn't walk. They were willing to be at my hospital every day. I had to tell staff, hey, these my guys and they just love me. I know it's 20 of them, but they love me, man. Like, they not here from a place of disrupt your hospital and all that stuff. But come on, it's pretty serious, man. It's a pretty serious thing. So for me to come home and say, I'm willing to deal with whatever smoke come my way from leaving, because I'm not finna assume a higher role. At 20 years old, I had over $100,000. I knew how to move in the streets, Valerie. I knew how to sell drugs. I knew how to, like, fight if I needed to. I never really wanted that. So at 14, 15, 16, I ain't even say this. At 16, my mom sent me to Iowa because she found an eighth of a kilo in my room. So in Chicago, I was moving heavy at 15, driving to school. My mom didn't know it, but she happy as ever for me now, and I'm grateful to have enough time to turn it around because some of my friends they didn't get their shot. So the survivor's guilt is there. So abolition means, that's a long way of saying, abolition means we've always had to come up with our own solutions. I'm never going to call a stranger when I got so many people out here who really just genuinely care about me. I would take the time to train them rather taking my time to train a stranger who going to come with a gun, handcuffs, all that wild stuff. And if they know I got felonies, why would I call the police? Think about that. So for folks who've always leaned on police and had that as a resource, being an abolitionist doesn't really make sense to them because they grew up with officer friendly. I grew up in Chicago in the 90s. 94 crime bill, my mom sent me to Iowa so that I did not go to prison because they were locking up a lot of us. So for me, people don't understand abolition because they looking at it from a theory perspective. If I got an issue right now and somebody threatening my life, I know people I can call who say, Jay, no, I got you, man. And for the longest, I've had to do that without being able to have my own firearm. And even though I'm pardoned, I still didn't get my gun license because I know I'm protected without that shit. I mean, I don't want to cuss on your platform, but I know I'm protected without it. So for me, I'm still trying to set an example for my guys who I'm gonna get pardoned because I'm grateful to break through and get this pardon, but it's a lot of people who I mess with who they next. So abolitionist means to my guys who came home from a murder sentence, from something they regret, something an assault, we got to look out for them. If they PO trying to harm them, we gotta say, let me talk to your PO, man. For real. He gotta understand, man. Like really, I am teaching at a university. I do run a brand and I got people who are employees. Yes, I do gotta hold this grant that this foundation gave me. I'm not out here playing. So you're the PO, but this somebody I care about, and we gonna make sure he don't go to prison because somebody trying to make his time rougher. So sometimes you need a real advocate, and who can do that better than somebody who had POs? I had a few POs. What 2006 and 7, I had a team. Oh, 2000 from 2007 to about 2012, 13, I had a team of probation officers. No lie, 5 or 6. So if people don't understand, abolition means I care about my relationships and I care about how we address harm. If I stay there, I know I'm keeping communities safe. I know I'm doing my job. And hopefully you believe this too and you figure out how to, be safe without calling 911. You just got to train the people around you how to show up for you just in life, not just a crisis, but when it is fourth quarter and you need some aid, I want your people to be trained so they come in a loving way rather than coming with they gun and possibly harm you and do something you didn't want to happen. So abolition means we see a future where we could love and protect each other. And if you look at my organization, REP, Relationships Evolving Possibilities, we all abolitionists and we figuring it out and we keeping people safe and we created our own dispatch system. So for us, yeah, we want to abolish police and prisons because we know it's not based on justice. And we've been saying that since forever. If you want true justice, it's ways we hold court in the street that's not like it don't feel oppressive. It feel like, hey, I'm just like a hood referee. Pretty much. That's all I am out here is a hood referee saying, don't do that. I know he was wrong. He shouldn't have did that. And you should get justice. I'm never gonna take that away from you. How do we do that without involving people who gonna only make y'all hate each other and never think about reconciliation? He going to prison, you going your own way. Nobody ever talks it through. You can't legally. So what we offer is anybody causing harm out here, if somebody is raped, if somebody is beat up, if somebody being bullied, we approaching is just saying like, do you want us to give you the same treatment? We don't want to do that. So how do you change your behavior? Offering you a chance to change your behavior and not do what you're doing. But if you keep bullying, we bullying then. Your choice,
So,
power in your hands. So we give
so,
you
y-
autonomy as abolitionists. You got autonomy to make decisions without a legal system telling you how it's going to go. And if you know about the legal system, it's really about who got the best lawyer. It ain't about no justice. If you got a better lawyer or if you got a team of lawyers and I got a public defender, yeah, all about the cash. So we offering up something that's, long lasting.
so you're talking about restorative justice and accountability?
Yeah, so I trained restorative justice and led a lot of circles in prisons, out here amongst gangs. We had a lot of gang violence and I brought RJ through. Like I learned it well enough to understand how to utilize it and the elders and whole community felt confident in what I could do. So yeah, 2006 I got trained in. All the way to 2018 I did restorative justice, but I got I took it a little further and started doing transformative justice in 2018. So restorative justice repairs. And that's great to be able to get something repaired to as if it never happened. Like if you steal some money from me or you lie on me or you try to gossip on me or tear my name down or whatever, I really ain't tripping because it's like I know I can keep on going. Like I already know. And if we get on a three-way call, I know it'll cease. So I don't trip on that kind of stuff. So it's easy for me to repair that kind of stuff and say, yeah, just don't do it again, man. We good. But for other people, they might need 6 months. They might need to think about that. They might need to reevaluate their other relationships. They might need to, but we will get to a place where we can bring together and repair it as if it never happened, as if, okay, I'm healed. I can move on. Transformative justice says, I think we can be better than just repair. I think we could have a relationship that was better than we ever imagined. You got to think the people who shot me up, it was a lot of violence back and forth. I teach 7 blocks from where they almost killed me. And I got shot by a serial killer. He had bodies. He already had murked a lot of people out here. So for me to have to engage in that for 7, 8, 9 years out the prison, seeing them, feeling the emotions, all of that, we understood, man, we got to figure this out, or, it's going to be on for life type of thing. When I can sit through that with people who talk bad about me, wish I had died, said all this stuff, we got all this back and forth. For us to be able to be in a spot now when we see each other, it's like, what's up, man? You good? Ain't none of that tension. The body don't feel I have to see them and not, cause you can get triggered easily by seeing people who once had, you know, venom for you. So I always have to stay in the neighborhood, to let folks know I'm not going to change and revert back to hating y'all again. But sometimes people do that. EJ offers a level of, man, I know we could be better than we've ever been. And we are. So when we see each other at the basketball games now, it's like, hey, what's up, man? You staying out of trouble or you still on that nonsense? Because some of them I have to say, it feel like you still on that nonsense. But when they seeing me getting pardoned and they seeing me fighting for others and bringing people home. I got Carlos just came home from 31 years, man. We got to get him right. Of course, I picked him up right away. Of course, put some dollars in his pocket because that's what you should do for one of your people who come home. I do the real stuff. And it's not the stuff that's going to show up, social media and none of that stuff, but it's the things that help everybody be able to be their own boss. So as an abolitionist, not only do I care about my projects, I make sure your stuff go well. I make sure the audience you serving, I hope they fed with something that they can actually go further with. So reform leads to one person being the voice of it. We reform like this, and anybody can talk reform. But when you think about how you gonna reform something that's so just wicked, based on slave patrols, 13th Amendment, prison, you think about the labor. I got 12 and a half cents an hour when I was in St. Cloud prison. 12 and a half cents. So
Slavery.
if you support that and you think it's that, more power to you. But I think you just dreaming. No disrespect. So it's abolition for me. Abolish that. We can create better things while we decrease police forces, while you building up the community.
I wanted you to talk a little bit about Humanize My Hoodie.
hmm So I was a professor for 8 years. Yeah. So 2009 I started. By 2017, I left the university I graduated from, left the same university I started teaching at 2009 to 2014. But it wasn't right. It wasn't a good fit. And I became an assistant professor. So I started teaching a 4-3 course load. I killed that year. 2013, I taught effectively. I was the chair of the Criminal Justice Club. I wrote my book that year, From Prison to PhD. I was advising students. And I felt like I would get tenured there, but it was just too rocky because I still was an organizer. So my department had some issues, and I heard them saying stuff behind my back when I went to Ferguson and was, fighting for Mike Brown. They didn't know how to engage in community like that and, be a servant. And I think it was messing with their ego a little bit or whatever. But I wasn't trying to sort through that with them. I wasn't trying to do all of that. So I stepped off. I said, hey, I'm resigning. I'm not coming back. I appreciate the opportunity, but I'll take my chances, elsewhere. Hamline University picked me up, called me right away. And I said, let's get it, So I didn't stop teaching. I got right back at it. And it was a different environment because Hamline University is Minnesota's first university. Before U of M, before all of those universities. And after 2 years of teaching there, I said, I'll try this again and go tenure track. And I became a visiting professor. So instead of teaching with suits on, because I was wearing all the suits, Valerie, I had on suits with the gaiters and I was, rocking a briefcase and all of that. And and that's what I wanted when I came home from prison, a role that I felt matched, my skill set rather than being based on something else. And at Hamlin, they let me be myself. I always said, abolish the police or F the police or, stuff like that. But I could be unapologetic about it when I got to Hamlin. So I said, I want to wear a hoodie the whole semester. I said, I'm just teaching with a hoodie on because I want students to get over their bias, Black people in hoodies, before they get their badge and their gun. My department supported it. I sent it through the Human Subjects Review Board to ensure that no students would get harmed while I just happen to have on a hoodie. And that semester was amazing. But when it hit social media, it went viral right away. So I stacked up books at this table right here. I asked my family to jump in the picture, my wife, my 2 daughters. And it was the books that I was teaching with that semester. And these were some tough courses, so I had 4 courses and these books were heavy. Just Mercy was one of them, New Jim Crow, a few others. And this was 2017. I just hashtagged it, humanize my hoodie. It was nothing I cultivated or thought through or, had all this vision for. But once it hit the internet, it just went too far. It went further than I anticipated. So had to trademark it right away with my childhood friend, Andre. And it was like we met at 16 years old. He was my first friend when I went to Waterloo, Iowa from Chicago. Thought he could beat me in basketball. And and I'm like, man, we played 100 times on his rim. We played 100 times. But we formed a friendship. And once we started wearing it on our bodies, the world fell in love with it. Everywhere, especially the formerly incarcerated folks. And we've had hoodies in Foot Locker. We've had hoodies everywhere, We grateful to move the culture. NBA folks love it. We did a partnership with Colin Kaepernick. I got a John Legend Award for the idea. J. Cole, when he was here,
That's amazing.
he looked up, said he loved the hoodie. So we've moved the world and we 8 years in and we really only scratched the surface of what we can do. So Humanize My Hoodie is a movement, but it's its own university. We have a documentary. We have art exhibitions. We have partnerships. We signed Dane Belton to an NIL deal. What year was that? Maybe 2021, 2022. He played for the New York Giants now. So we get to play, we get to be artists, we get to be scientists, and we get to employ people and give people jobs, and we're not led by anybody else. We make the decisions. We ask the community if they want to move forward with a homework hotline or whatever. We just don't have the red tape that other orgs have. So I'm grateful for that.
Okay, so we're back again. We had a couple of little technical difficulties, and we're going to pick up where we was. How can people get your hoodies, Jason?
Well, we don't sell a lot of hoodies right now. We just did a Humanize My Neighbor capsule collection. So really, we're not capitalists. So we don't just sell a lot of hoodies, but you could go to our website. We're about to release another one in about a week. But really, Andre has created a fashion house in Iowa. So he's living his dream. He turned the dry cleaners into a space of fashion where they work on textiles. And I got these buckets of projects that I love that I'm doing. So we don't offer up a lot of hoodies, but we do a lot of giveaways just to make sure the kids got it on and to make sure they, move in the culture with conversations. But you can go to the website, humanizemyhoodie.com.
Okay, and you can get them there.
For sure.
Okay. Does anyone who watches my podcast, I'm a Mainer, and we live in hoodies here in Maine.
Oh, okay.
So as far as promoting you, mine actually, I don't know if you can see it, it's hands around the world. I am
sure.
Mayan. It's
Oh,
the
dope.
Maine Youth Action Network.
Oh, dope.
It was
That's what's
so
up.
they work with youth that are in junior high and high school here in the state of Maine, and
Beautiful.
a lot of stuff around restorative justice and how to
Yeah.
resolve conflict in a peaceful way.
That's dope. I met some formerly incarcerated people in Portland, Maine. I think it was 2 years ago. My first ever time in Portland, Maine, but I had a good time and I was on my way to Massachusetts. So, and the guy I met, he did 18 years in prison, man. It was super tall. And he doing what he got a master's degree. So yeah, I rock with Maine. I only been there once, but a lot of respect.
Well, it's kind of funny because when I first became aware of you, you were working on a project, I believe, about the Underground Railroad.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, So I have an institute for aspiring abolitionists. So people who want to go deeper with abolition, I'll let you roll with me when I'm tracing my roots. I'll let you roll with me. A lot of folks from my institute help me get pardoned. So I teach you while I'm going through it. You know what I mean? So I always got stuff that's happening. Like even when the day I got pardoned, my cousin, same last name, got sentenced to 30 years in prison, for fentanyl. So I'm grateful for my success and what Humanize My Hoodie doing and what the Institute is doing. But learning from the past and really looking at the Underground Railroad. And not only that, I went to Canada 6 times because I needed to see what happened on the other side of it. So you got to think having 3 felonies going to that border with a passport that I had never really used. I took the lessons from the past and I brought them to today. And I've been over there 6 times and learned from the people who are fugitive slaves. They're like descendants of fugitive slaves. So the Underground Railroad is important when you talk about abolition because people only know half of the story. They know Harriet Beecher Stowe had a house out there. They know Josiah Henson went to Dresden. He brought a lot of people over there from Dresden. And I'm grateful. I brought 200 youth to Dresden, Ontario last May. And we all stayed. I did a symposium. A kid created a hoodie. We all put on that kid hoodie, 200 hoodies for that kid. I gave out 200 books, spent the whole day with them. So it's like when I do Underground Railroad work, I'm showing you they had a path when there was really no path. They created it. And this was led by Black folks. Like a lot of people forget that, but accomplices helped by having houses. White folks helped. Indigenous folks helped in different reservations. And for us, it's like unpacking that so that we can give more people opportunities is important. So we were in Wisconsin this weekend in Racine, Wisconsin, learning about Joshua Glover and Carolyn Quarles. You should look up their stories because it's fascinating. And Joshua Glover, his master came to get him, picked him up in Racine, drove him to Milwaukee, downtown, placed him in the jail. 5,000 abolitionists came, broke that jail door down, got Joshua Glover out, put him on a boat. He sailed into Canada where he lived. So it's like, yeah, of course, that's my work. I'll be back in Massachusetts in May. So if you wanna join us, let me know. We got about 20 people coming from the cities with us. So just let me know. That's
I love
important
that
work.
work. It
Yeah,
is very
critical.
important work. We've covered so many things, but I feel like I might have left something out. Is there something that I should have asked you that I haven't?
I'm a family person, so everybody knows I'm grateful to be a, servant in community, but I'm father of the year. My wife loves me dearly. Like I said, still to this day, she's a social worker and my babies are killing it. My daughter, my oldest is 18 now. So she's off in college. She lives in Georgia and, she's about to go on spring break next week. So pray for me.
Ooh, scary.
Do all the things, burn some sage, all of that. But I know she gonna be okay. And my youngest is a beast. She's 14 years old. And I'm just proud these kids chose me. So I've been blessed to really hold, my family down. And my wife has 8 siblings and I got siblings. And to hold my family down and to like not put my work over them. That's what's important. You know what I mean? I'm grateful for my accomplishments and Humanize My Hoodie and all that. But if I was failing in my personal life, that wouldn't be good. So that's the main thing. And that's what people know about me most. That's like my reputation. People know I gotta drop my kid off at school, pick her up from school. I'm gonna have to teach her to drive next year. I'm active, fully active, and I never slouch in that role. So just grateful to be able to have clarity and not be so ambitious or chasing something so wildly that I can't pick up the phone and call my mom or I can't like tap into the realest parts of my life. So that's important. Like stay grounded, stay true, stay supporting the people who believed in you when nobody else would. There was a lot of people who, made sure I got through prison just by sending a letter or a card or when they got their income taxes, they hit me with some money or something like that. And it's like, I never forget that. And I'm grateful that I never forgot the teachers who sent me letters, my high school principal who had nice words, even though I fell short, my basketball coaches who, even though I fell short, they still believed. That's critical. Like, never forget where you come from. No matter what you accomplish, just never forget.
Jason, you really brought up so many important things today, and it's always so good to see somebody who is successful, even when things weren't going your way and didn't look like it was going to happen. And
Yeah.
you're setting such a great example for so many others that have fallen through the cracks or have stumbled along the way, that maybe have found themselves in prison and feel there's no hope.
Yeah.
Prime example that you can turn life around and you can do
Sure.
whatever you set your mind to.
For sure.
A lot of that starts with picking up a book.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Like I said, my guy Carlos, who did 31 years, I mentioned him. Oh, that's how we started talking. So I wanted my book to be in solitary confinement everywhere, just so I know it's gonna motivate you. Cause when I was in prison, I was just reading like the hood books. You know what I mean? I wasn't I wasn't getting until I started ordering the books I wanted. I was just reading what they had in the library, which was usually just hood books, trying to survive and all that kind of stuff. But when I started like going to college, I said, man, look, this is scary, it's intimidating, all of that. Carlos was in prison. He read my book. He reached out. He said, man, I read your book twice. The college part is what he wanted to talk about the most. Not me putting my flag down, not my conversation with telling my guys, hey, I love y'all, but we can't kick it like that. The college piece was what he focused on. And I told him, yeah, it was nerve wracking because once people know you've been to prison, they probably not gonna want to be in a group with you and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it worked. Where they like, oh, he got shot up. What? Yeah, now we probably ain't gonna, you know what I mean? Probably ain't gonna be nothing there now. So the people who accepted me with that, I just moved forward. But I didn't let the folks who had stuff to say behind my back for having felonies, I just didn't let it get to me. So I think the college piece and the intimidation, it was worth going through because I see now when people read the book, they automatically say, dang, man, if this dude was in there, because I was slow when I started college. I wasn't reading as fast as other kids. I thought they were tripping with them homework assignments. I'm like, yo, you want me to read 60 pages for this one class by next week and do an assignment? That sounded outlandish to me at the time. But I had to give my entire video game system away, the controllers, all of it, because I wasn't a gamer, but I liked 2K a little too much. And I'd be sitting at my table doing my work, but the game was like burning my hands. Like I'm looking at the game and I had to make a real decision. And I gave it to Hosey, a 17-year-old kid. And I said, hey, you ain't gonna kill yourself with this game, is you? And he was like, no, man. I asked his parents. And his dad was in my wedding and stuff. So we all still tight. And Hosey has all the restaurants out here. He got Slice. He's an amazing kid, but I had to give it to somebody. I gave him all of my whole game system because it's like I wasn't gonna get through my first semester if I didn't give that game away. So like I said, and as a teacher, I tell my students now, it's not about how much wisdom and knowledge you got. Yes, that helps for sure. It's about grit. Are you gonna finish that assignment or are you gonna just procrastinate and think about it? I'm somebody that's gonna get it done. Even if it ain't the best, I'll take that D. And if I can make up for it later, I'm gonna make up for it. So it's like I just had the grit when other people would be in their head about it. So that's really what I want to leave folks with. Like, if you got a dream, if you got something you really passionate about, I know a lot of people will say, man, I'm gonna write my book one day. I'll be like, man, be quiet, because you're not gonna finish it. Cause it's like you gotta just really block out the noise and do it, or it's not gonna get done. Like I got a couple books I'm trying to, get done, but I'm not locked in enough. So I just put it back on myself where it's like, I'm not doing what I need to do to be able to get this done. So once we take more ownership and accountability, and I think the most important thing about my life is I don't have any yes people in my life. There are no people who just love me well enough to just go along with any of my behavior. Everybody around me can check me. And that's the only way I would have it. I don't like people being around me like trying to fan out and stuff. No, if I'm wrong, hold me to that. Like, keep me on point, man. Keep me sharp. Do not just be putting me on no pedestal. That's not how we get through this. We get through it together. Take the ego out, lift somebody else up. I tell everybody in prison, y'all can go further than me. Y'all can take my high score down and I will help you do it. Like, I'm here to help you do it too. So that's what I think is different, because when I came home, it was more competitive. Everybody wanted to be the one. And I'm like, man, I'm not for that. Even when I was playing basketball, even though I knew I was like the best person on the team, I still chose the co-captain, because it's better when you do things in groups or, in friendships and relationships. So just want people to like not forget that the relationships are the most important thing in life, not money or success or fame. It's like work on those relationships, nourish them and protect them.
And if people want to find out more about you, you give a website or social media that you use the most?
Yeah, I'm terrible at that stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Shoot, I'm on LinkedIn, so I'm pretty old school. I'm on Facebook too, Jason Sole on those platforms. Twitter, I am Jason Sole. I think that's my handle on Twitter. No Instagram. I'm on Substack. If you can follow my Substack, that'll be dope. And I'm on Patreon too. That's kind of where I share more of my personal life on Patreon. So that's when I show like me going to an Underground Railroad spot, or me going to speak at a college, or me going. I only put that on Patreon. I rarely put that on those other platforms. I live kind of
Okay.
a private life, Valerie. I know I got stuff out there that might make it seem like I'm just out there just hustling, and I'm really not. Like, I'm really poised, I'm really calm, and I really want the people around me to be well. So you can catch me on some of those platforms, but minimally,
Well,
I
thank
gotta
you
do
so
better.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jason, for joining us today. People inside love hearing from those who have had experiences and have come out on the other side of it. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate you being here today.
For sure, for sure. Just want to say to all of them, keep your head up, stay dreaming. Don't forget the youth you had in you. Don't forget your youthfulness. Don't forget those highlights you had second, third grade. Don't forget those great memories. I know you got some harmful memories. Let those good memories lift you through that time and get you on this side. And I want to lift up Maureen Ayan Lobi. She's in Shakopee prison here. She's about to get her law degree in May, and I'm glad she invited me to come in, because she gonna be a lawyer behind the wall, and we all excited for it. So lift up Maureen as she try and finish out these last couple of months, because she's doing a lot of expungements for folks now, and she's a beast, and we love her to death. And she's serving life, but we hoping she gets commuted in a few years. But she's about to be a full-fledged lawyer in the prison, so stay
That's
watching out for
amazing.
her. Absolutely. But thanks for having me, Valerie.
Congratulations.
Most
Thank
definitely.
you so much, Jason. I want to remind our listeners that we've been talking with Jason Marque Sole today, and we will be back in another week with another edition of the Prison Pod.
You have been listening to The Prison Pod, a podcast not just for those in prison but for anyone who has been affected by incarceration. Ms. Valerie would love for you to write to her with your questions, comments, and show ideas. The address is Prison Pod, Post Office Box 294, Orono, Maine. 04473.